What is up, everybody? This is Lyle, No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I am coming at you from the Flying J in Temple, Georgia. Coming at you with that Richard Roundtree afro. For those of you guys that don't know, Richard Roundtree, the original shaft. It's not quite there yet, but we're on our way there. I just posted a video talking about things I've learned running multiple trucks at Prime. Got a few comments. And one thing I want to kind of reflect on is what was told to me way back in like January, late December of 2019. I did a video. I made a mistake of posting numbers, which is always a bad video. I don't see anything good that comes out of posting settlements or anything like that. But I made that mistake, and I had somebody say, that's good now, but you're gonna be going broke and eating ramen noodles. Trust me on this. And I'll be honest with you, that has been a motivating force for me since the day that comment came across. So first of all, haven't been eating no ramen noodles, even though they're delicious. And I'm not going broke. So, luckily I was able to kind of get through that. So I decided to get a second truck. Had some people saying that was a bad idea. And now, with the third truck, I'm having people saying that I'm going to go broke, I'm gambling, whatever. Now, I don't make these decisions out of vanity or anything like that. It's not no big dick swinging contest. I'm doing this for a number of different reasons. I'm doing it because I think it makes, I can look at it and see where there's a good business model behind that. But I also, it's not just, and people aren't going to believe me on this. People are going to say that when I said I wasn't training for the money, that I was lying about that. I mean, the money's good, and that's a byproduct of doing the job. But I'm also trying to look at the other people that are driving beyond, driving under me. And when I came up with this business model, I thought about it. I kind of thought about what the possibilities were, the positives and negatives. And I decided to go along the same business model that I had in everything else. As far as, the people that rent from me, all that kind of stuff. My business model was going to be, listen, I know what these trucks should be doing. And I would rather pay somebody more than what's standard, which I do, make a little bit less money, but be able to have longevity and loyalty with the people that drive for me. And I think that, it's yet to be seen with my newest driver, but I believe I've done that. I didn't just get this third truck without being able to take a look at what's going on with the second truck. I mean, you can obviously say, different drivers are going to have different results, and I can 100% agree with that. But one thing about my business model, and a lot of people that are fleet owners are going to say, that's not a good business model. And I understand that. Is that I don't mind taking the short weeks, short months, things like that. I'm looking so far into the future that what's happening today really doesn't matter to me. And we could be talking about this little hiccup in the freight market or whatever. I've already looked so far beyond this that whatever's going on now in the market really really has nothing to do with what my business plans are. So what's my business plan? I looked at it and I said, what? As long as these trucks are breaking even, maybe even showing a little bit of a loss, but over time they're going to kind of profit a little bit, lose a little bit, break even, stuff like that. What I'm looking at is so far down the future that, or so far into the future that what happens now is really almost irrelevant. I can speak about a load specifically. And, you know, I've had Myra running for me for a while, but there are several loads that she will run or has ran that will cost me money. She's on a load right now. She delivered in Tucson, Arizona, deadheaded to Cactus, Texas, and she's dropping off in somewhere in Ohio, I think. That load is going to cost me money. She's done other loads coming out of Salt Lake City, going to Gaffney, South Carolina. Those loads cost me money. You know, when she sent me the message saying, you know what, Lyle, they're wanting me to dead 750 miles. I just know that's not good for you. And I say, you know what, it's good for you. Take the load. It's good miles. All that kind of stuff. She's getting paid on the miles regardless of what the revenue is. And my philosophy is keep a happy driver and they'll stay around. So I may take a little bit of a loss on this load, but in the long run, it's going to even out, and I'm going to have a driver that's not going to, you know, that's not going to be looking to jump every time that, well, not looking to jump, period. You know, so I think that what I've been graced with is having that long-term vision. And for anybody saying, you know, I'm going to go broke or, you know, whatever, you know, I've thought about the different possibilities. And the only reason I'm going to put this out is because I think people are looking for some information. I'm going to try to sprinkle in a little bit of information about having multiple trucks and my philosophy and stuff like that. But, you know, one of the things that, you know, I have several goals. One goal is going to be in September. The next one's going to be like around January, February. And the next one's going to be out past that. But I'm looking so far ahead that all these little loads right now, it is what it is. And it's not like I'm being unprofitable other than the little bit of hiccups that I've had. And I've had hiccups that I don't think that is going to be typical to this industry. My first goal is in September, when that truck gets paid off, I'm going to say, hey, Myra, you still want to roll? Yeah. All right, let's get you a truck. What kind of truck do you want? What kind of stuff do you want on it? Boom, we're going to do that. Then I have another driver that, or not another driver, I got Jan. I'm going to see kind of where he's at on it. There's a driver that has, you know, like 4 years of experience. That's a potential candidate. If she comes on, that's going to kind of change kind of what my philosophy is on it. But if she comes along, I'm going to hop into the oldest truck. Jan's going to stay in his truck. Myra's going to go into the newest truck. And then the new driver would get in this truck. If Jan goes and Myra goes, then maybe we just switch. You know, I order another truck. You know, Myra gets a new truck. I stay in this truck and I sell the other truck. I mean, there's so many different things that, or so many different avenues that when I have people talking about me failing, it's almost, I can lose money over short periods of time, but as far as failure goes, I would almost have to say that it's impossible. I mean, I've already gone through enough these last few months. Even if it stayed on that trajectory, I would just look at it and say, you know what? Let me stop the bleeding. Let me pay off this truck. And that stops it right there. I mean, at this point, even with what I've gone through now, to call it a successful venture in me leasing solo, leasing with one driver, leasing with other driver, literally I could almost just give away all three trucks and be like, it's been a successful venture. That's not what I plan on doing, but I would still consider that a successful venture. It may not be as successful as what somebody would typically be saying, but it's done more than I've wanted it to do. And along those lines, it's allowed me to treat people, you know, for example, Myra that's in my first truck, when she was a company driver, it's allowed me to put her in a better position. So, one other thing I'm going to put out here as far as my philosophy, just because it's not really part of this video. This video was about me going broke and eating ramen noodles 3 years ago. You know, one of my philosophies was to hire experienced drivers, or have experienced drivers drive for me. You know, when Myra came on, she probably has 6 months more experience than I do. You know, when I hired Jan, he didn't have quite the experience. I think he might have had 6 or 7 months of experience, but he was in his 50s. Life experience goes a long way. So in that case, I took life experience over trucking experience. And over the course of time, I think that's going to pay off. And this goes to anybody that's thinking about, and I hate calling it a fleet, because to me, when I do that, it kind of sounds like I am trying to swing my dick around a little bit. But if you are somebody that wants to have multiple trucks, or you're thinking about leasing, or even going company, the one question that I hate to hear, it just grinds the shit out of me, is when somebody, it's always on Facebook, hey, for you guys out there that are company drivers, or hey, for you guys out there that are lease drivers, what are you doing every week, or what are your settlements looking like? If I wanted to be an average motherfucker, I would ask average motherfuckers what they do. I'm not going to ask somebody what my potential is going to be. And I would expect you not to do the same, or I'd hope that you don't do the same. Now, I can understand that some people may need a baseline or something like that. You know what? I can see that. But what you're going to get when you ask those type of questions is you're going to have a whole lot of average people telling you a whole lot of shit that they do. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not trying to be average. I'm not out here asking any other lease driver, you know, how are things been going? You know, are you sitting? Are you doing this? Are you doing that? Fuck that. I'm not comparing myself to anybody else. And I would suggest you not do the same. So, there was a comment, and I forgot exactly how it was phrased, but, and I don't think this was a malicious comment if you happen to be watching this, but, you know, a good positive attitude only goes but so far, or something like that. You know, a good positive attitude when it comes to the trucking industry may or may not help. But one thing I will tell you is complaining has never helped anybody. Complaining about some shit only makes you look like an idiot. Especially, I mean, do you realize how fucking dumb I would feel if I got on Facebook and asked a bunch of random motherfuckers how much money they made last week because I'm trying to see if I'm going to do this or do that? I mean, that is some follower type mentality right there. And I'm not trying to be no follower. I'm not trying to follow in anybody's footsteps or anything like that. I mean, to me, I'd be embarrassed to ask that question. Because that just means, you know, I'm trying to be the sum of all these average people. No. Now, if I'm going to fail, and fail, you know, spectacularly, I'd rather do it on my own rather than judging myself against my peers that may or may not be doing what I'm willing to do. You know, I'm about to end this. My fleet manager gave me a load. I think I spoke about it. And he was like, this is a tight load. Do you think you can get it? And I'm looking at the load, and the only reason I can see why he asked about this load was because he has a history of people not being able to run a load like this the way it was set up. He's had a history of people saying, well, I don't care if the load needs to be pushed. I'm only going to drive 58 miles an hour. You know, and I'll be honest with you, that's some stupid shit they said in the ACE 2 class. If you can't run a load at 58 miles an hour, maybe you should ask to get the appointment changed. No, fuck that. If you can get the load there at 65 miles an hour, do that shit. But I'm not going to be the one sitting here like, you know, well, I can't get the load there because it's going to take me to drive, you know, 635 miles a day for 2 drive shifts. I mean, to me, that's like regular driving. I said I'm not rationing my hours. But what that did say to me is there's some average motherfuckers out here that ain't gonna do that shit. Or else he wouldn't have brought it up. Enough about that. Anyway. I appreciate the people that are concerned about my business acumen, worried about me going broke, anything like that. I have a few different fail safes that are, in here that's going to keep me from going broke. And it's not a matter of if it's going to be successful or not going to be successful. It's just a matter of how successful it's going to be. And as I've said, there's enough of this pie to split, at least right now, 3 ways. There's no reason for me to underpay anybody or for me to be worried about, if I'm losing money on a certain load or anything like that. Long-term thinking. Thanks for stopping by No Hippie Trucking and Transportation. I appreciate it. Comment, subscribe, and I'm out.